Happy Spiritual Sunday to you all. Let's read from Karen's book, as we often do, Simple Light. So Karen says like this: the Zohar says there are two kinds of people: God's servants and God's children. The Zohar explains that the difference between a servant of God and a child of God is that the servant performs his task dutifully. He prays, he performs good deeds, and is charitable. But he does these things because they are what is expected of him. He does these things so that he'll be considered one of the good people. What then is a child of God? A child of God does everything from a spiritual consciousness. He does it because it is what he expects of himself and not because another expects it of him. Everything he does is in order to connect with the light force of God. So it's a very powerful distinction, understanding the difference. In other words, in general terms, most people perform their religious rituals because that's what they think God expects of them. What you and I are learning in the Kabbalah Center is the Creator really doesn't expect anything from us. The Creator is available to all of us. The light force of God is available 24/7, eternally. What this world is about, we'll speak a little more, but what our work is to do the actions that will connect us with the light of the Creator. Because as we often say, and probably everybody on earth would acknowledge, in the physical world, there's only one thing will take away darkness, and that's light, some form of light. If the physical light is a microscopic piece of what we call the light of the Creator, then wouldn't it be advantageous for us to do everything we can to connect to the light of the Creator so that our lives, individually and collectively, are filled with that light? Because the more light we can shine into the world, the faster we take away the pain, suffering, and death, all the chaos, all the darkness. And just like, let's say in a room, even in your own house, when you're searching for something in whatever, the dining room, the bedroom, the den, the office in your house, in the dark, it's hard to find it, even if you're familiar with the furniture. But immediately upon turning the light on, you are more able, because the light took away the darkness. We didn't do it. We know how to activate the light, but the light took away the darkness. And once the darkness disappears, we are then able to navigate through the room and the bigger picture through our life on the side of the light and not falling into the obstacles and the chaos that is darkness. And for me, after so many years in the center, that's really, as Karen made it so simple, that's what it all comes down to. Everything I do, I want, I'm not perfect at it yet, but everything I do, I want it to be my connection into the light force of the Creator, so that my life then is more illuminated, and I'm guided by that light, inspired and empowered by that light, to be able to live a life that brings order out of chaos, light out of darkness, and therefore I can navigate through my daily experiences, my daily situations, live my daily life guided and illuminated by the infinite light of the Creator. Imagine what the world would be like, which it soon will be, B'ezrat Hashem, the help of the light in all of us, when all of us are living guided by the light. In fact, that's part of what I'd like to share with you today. So let's start, as we always do, with our affirmation. Just making sure, okay. With our affirmation. This is to empower the light force within us to have more strength than the ego aspect, that opponent aspect. So we say it together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. Okay, so let's start. I've shared with you here and there a little bit. I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in Reform Judaism. I didn't understand past lives. So now it's easy to look back and say, oh yeah, okay, that's why I had these questions. But I remember when I was maybe 8, 9 years old, maybe 7, I used to go to what we called religious school. So I remember in class, we were talking about the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve. And I remember just raising my hand and asking, who were Adam and Eve? Where did they come from? Didn't get much of an answer and was a little frustrated because of that. Okay, but I went on. And then we heard the story of how God put Adam to sleep, took the rib, that's how they called it, out of Adam, and from that rib created Eve. So now you have Adam and Eve, and it goes on with the rest of the story. You know, God tells them, don't eat of the tree of knowledge. This snake, as we've talked about often, that AI programming, original AI programming of challenge, of opposition, of ego, etc., taunted Adam and Eve to eat of the tree of life, to go against what the Creator told them to do. Now, you and I understand that that's metaphorical. We do believe there was an Adam and Eve. The Kabbalists teach everything in the 5 books of Moses did take place. But the bigger thing we want to gain from it is what lessons can we understand? How can we gain wisdom about the immutable laws of the universe that we can live in 2024 by those laws? And as we were saying before, live in the side of the light, live guided by the light, and not guided by that AI programming of ego, self-centeredness, greed. Okay, fast forward then, I come to the Kabbalah Center, and once I came to the Kabbalah Center, everything in my life, personal experiences, the other spiritual wisdoms that I've been studying and teaching and learning about, all of the science that I learned in college, everything suddenly had a way of being interconnected and making sense. But I also had new questions. I realized, because of my previous 10 years of spiritual study, etc., that the wisdom of Kabbalah needed to go to everybody. I mean, it's literally universal wisdom. And so the question I had back then was, why is it that this isn't going out? Why is it that some people are saying, no, 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 it's only for the most scholarly, orthodox, Jewish, married, learned men over 40, etc., etc. And of course, I learned that there's no such thing. It's like one of those falsehoods that keeps getting repeated so many times that people begin to believe it and don't question it. Because when you look into it, all the great Kabbalists through history said even children need to be learning Kabbalah, and that it's not limited to any race, color, religion, culture, what have you. Okay, so that was it. So it started to take, for me, a way of these differences, divisivenesses of different religions. And over the years, as more people came to the center from other religions, they basically all ultimately said the same thing. Once you learn at least Kabbalah 1, and you have an open heart to look at life from the Kabbalistic point of view, people would come to me in our meetings, oh, now I understand what Moses meant, now I understand what Jesus meant, now I understand what Muhammad meant, now I understand what Buddha really meant, things like that. Because every true spiritual leader was teaching the same thing. I mean, there's the immutable laws of the universe, and no religion or no person can change them, but people can speak of them in different perspectives, right? Like we say in simple terms, and I don't want to get deep into it, but you could look at a glass and a person could say it's either half full or half empty. It's the same glass. They're both looking at the same thing. They're describing the same thing, just from different points of view. So over the centuries, the original teachings of these spiritual leaders got, let's call it filtered, altered a little bit into what we see today. And I've heard from, again, just about every religion, a person of every religion, if Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, whatever, came back to the temple, the synagogue, I don't know, the church, the mosque, whatever it is, wouldn't recognize what's going on because it has been changed like that. So you and I are learning how to go back to the fundamentals and the universal origin, which is what I want to talk about today. So we learn from Kabbalah 1, first and foremost, that in the endless world, the Creator created one soul and filled that soul with the infinite light of the Creator, which is the only source of lasting, eternal fulfillment and goodness. That's it. Our purpose was to come down into this world and act like the Creator. Just imitate what the Creator did. Create a vessel, fill it with light, and because we've filled it with light, we've extended light from us, we now have added clarity from the light, revelation of the light, guidance from the light, support from the light, blessings from the light. The Creator is unity. The Creator only created one soul. So when the soul came into this world, there was only one being. And if you read carefully, Genesis 1, that's what it says. There was one being that was both male and female, meaning it had all the souls that we see today, or that we would define today. 8.2 billion people on earth, each of us have a piece of that one soul inside of us. But there's still only one. If you, so to speak, took all of our 8.2 billion pieces of soul and put it together, you'd have that one soul. So we're not unique, separate in that way. We're all pieces of the one. And we came down here just to imitate the Creator, creating unity, bringing enlightenment. Okay? Now comes the question then. If there really is only one of us, and one came out of the endless world, the Kabbalists teach us your Kabbalistic birthday, which is different than your Gregorian or solar birthday, because the Kabbalistic calendar takes into account the rotation of the sun and the moon. And therefore, on the day of your birth, the sun and the moon were in a unique configuration. And every year, there is a day that configuration occurs again in the cosmos, and that's your birthday. What the Kabbalists teach us then is on our Kabbalistic birthday, a year's worth of light force is being broadcast into this world. And if we do the right things, basically, like we often speak about, and really the only thing we're here to do, share our light. So if we're making greater efforts on that day to open our vessel by cleaning out some of the fear, the anger, the jealousy, the greed, the ego, etc., if we're clearing out a space, then we're able to receive, ideally, 1 year's light force to maintain not only our life for a year, but health, peace, love, prosperity, protection, guidance, all those good blessings of the light. So then just imagine in a simple way, when that one soul came out of the endless world, that one soul that was filled with light, that would be humanity's birthday, which means every single human being on earth has the same spiritual birthday. And on that day, year in and year out, 1 year's light force for every human being on earth. So let's speak of today. That means on that humanity's birthday, which we are all part of, the world is being infused with enough light force for 8.2 billion people to have a year of life, health, peace, prosperity, good family, great relationships, protection, guidance, all of the blessings of the light. So I don't know about you. Well, I guess I do. If you're watching this and you're part of the center, it's obviously that we all have desire for as much light as we can reveal, bringing the end of pain, suffering, and death to the world, and revealing all the blessings we're supposed to have, making them manifest. So to understand, to know what day that is, would give us the advantage, the benefit of being able to create a vessel, meaning clear out some more of the garbage that we've been carrying in our vessel, the spiritual mud, dirt, whichever way you want to look at it, and allow more of that year's worth of energy collectively to come into the world. And therefore, not only as in our individual birthday, we would benefit, but we have the opportunity to benefit 8.2 billion people, the entire humanity, with the light of the Creator. Okay. Well, that day is coming up this week, which is why I wanted to make sure we were able to do this live. The Kabbalistic calendar, again, the combination of the rotations of the sun and the moon together, on the first day of the month called Tishrei, which is cosmic Libra. The first day of cosmic Libra is the day that one soul came out of the endless world into this world. And therefore, it is the birthday of humanity. So this year, it's going to be Wednesday night. Starts the new year. Unfortunately, that AI program that we put in our head, the opponent, which is really there, most of you I hope have taken Kabbalah 1, so you understand, even though it's our opposition, it's taunting and tempting us to act egotistically, selfishly, so that we strengthen, expand our muscles of sharing, the revelation of the light of our soul, by bringing light from inside against my desire to receive for oneself alone, and extend light through the curtains and the veils of darkness to manifest light, take away chaos from my life and the world. Because when you and I are shining light into the world, we are illuminating everybody, because we're still on that one soul internet. Even though our bodies are separate, and even that, ask ourselves, why are our bodies separate? Because of those layers of mud, what the Kabbalists call klipot. Every time a person does a negative action, they build a shell, a veil, a curtain around their soul. So the 100% light inside of us doesn't shine out 100%, because it's blocked by various layers of those klipot, of those veils. So what happens on the first 2 days, technically, of cosmic Libra? Think of the symbol. The symbol of Libra is the scales. So the scales are there to weigh and measure, balance, if you will, two things. I want you to understand the concept of judgment related to this. Most of us think judgment is a terrible thing. I mean, a person goes into court, the judgment goes against them, they think it's a bad thing. But you and I, consciousness is everything. What in essence is judgment? In essence, judgment is clarifying. It is making it clear to us. When a person balances their checkbook, it is a form of judgment because they are judging deposits with withdrawals. And whichever way that judgment comes, meaning the balance, that's what's in or not in their checkbook. So the beginning of the month of Libra is a time of judgment. And if you read some of the writings, even Kabbalistic writings, it'll say Libra is the month of judgment. But it doesn't mean judgment as in punishment. It means it gives us the ability of clarifying things. Go back to the checkbook. I've had in my lifetime people that I know who just for whatever reason, they put their checks in, right? They deposit their check, paycheck or whatever it is, and then they just write checks. And for a long time, they wouldn't balance it because they just figured, okay, they're not spending so much. Their check is a nice check, and that's it. Until somewhere along the line, often it would happen, they'd get a notice overdrawn and therefore charged for being overdrawn. Now, at that moment, you say, well, they're being judged by the bank. Yes, in a way. But what is the judgment? It's clarifying. Hey, Quincy, you put in $10,000. You spent $10,500. You are overdrawn $500. So then Quincy could go back to his checkbook and start to check it out and clarify himself where he spent, what he deposited, etc., etc. So yes, it may be a little painful, a little uncomfortable, but it's clarifying and it's pushing us to have clarity and more consciousness. So let's say Quincy looks, he says, okay, 500 overdrawn, so what? Maybe he doesn't care about it. Maybe he looked, okay, put the check in, he wrote these checks for things, he bought these things, and that's that. Okay, but at least now he has clarity. It's a conscious decision. Stay $500 overdrawn or do something about it and be more careful the next week. So Libra is giving us that chance. All of our good deeds of the last year and all of our negative actions are being balanced, judged, if you will. And whichever way that balance ends up, that's the beginning of the pattern for the new year. So in the first 2 days of Libra, what they call the head of the year, Rosh Hashanah, first realize it's not a Jewish New Year's. It doesn't belong to any group other than humanity. And that's why the Zohar teaches every person is put on the scales of Libra and balanced, whether we realize it or not. Every person is being balanced. And so if you think about why people wondering, why is this going on in their life? How come they're doing what they think are nice things and yet they're still having chaos? Well, because the universe has to show us, so to speak, the judgment. So we wake up and say, wait a second, let me take greater conscious actions, have greater conscious awareness. What am I doing, when I'm doing, how I'm doing it, so that I can be more in control of my destiny. So we're clarifying things on those first 2 days. And we also have the ability of changing things. Because as you and I learned, the light of the Creator is infinite and it's available 24/7. So if we make use of the Kabbalistic technology, which is using the universal immutable laws, we on those 2 days have the ability of shifting things. But even before that, let's talk about in general what the Kabbalists teach us, and we focus on these 2 first days of Libra, the birthday of humanity, the essence of negative actions. So follow with me. One of the negative actions is called idol worship. Now, the Creator's light is all there is. There is really no such thing as a force of darkness. There is, from our point of view, darkness, but not because there's an energy of darkness, but in essence, because by negative actions, a person covers up the light. And when a person covers the light, it appears to be dark. But everything starts with our light abilities, behaviors, and ultimate desires. So let's idol worship. And please take this as we're discussing it. We are in essence supposed to have an idol, meaning a God to worship, a source of fulfillment, which is the infinite light of the Creator. That's what most people would call God. So we're supposed to worship the true God, the infinite light, which is the only source of eternal bliss, unity, clarification, etc. But because we had that AI programming, people, unfortunately, as Adam and Eve, we fell into the illusion called the tree of knowledge, good and evil, the physical material world. So people have not acted as if the Creator is their God, but in essence created what commonly we call an idol. The money, their position in life, fame, fortune, sports people, celebrities, etc. People have created physical material things to be their source of happiness and joy, their source of fulfillment. That's one of the negative actions. Physical world is a means for us to channel light, is a means for us to share light, but is not the source. Second one, called bloodshed. So some of you may be familiar, there was and maybe still is, what they used to call bloodletting. If a person was sick, they knew there was some kind of poison in the blood, and by letting out the blood, so to speak, bloodshed, but bloodletting, they were able to, or theorized that they could heal the person, take out the poison. Today, we have something similar. We just don't necessarily take the blood out, but we all understand that the blood is either carrying all the positive nutrients, let's call it, in the right ways, etc., or is carrying toxins. So people are trying to purify the blood. So there's that light aspect of it, let's call. But then there's also, as we know, people, cutting other people, people harming other people, like the physical bloodshed. And there is also one that I'd like to put in your consciousness. The Kabbalists say an aspect of bloodshed is embarrassing somebody. Because when a person's embarrassed, if you notice, the face starts to turn red, meaning blood coming to their face. It's as if they're shedding blood. So that's another one. So we have to think how we might be doing that. Third one is called adultery. And adultery means, yes, let's start with the light. Why did this one being have to split into Adam and Eve? Why couldn't the one being come down here, just do its work to imitate the Creator, and that's it? No, because we need people to share with. So there was at least the need for the two people. So Adam could share with Eve, Eve could share with Adam. So there is a light source or foundation to relationships. But as we all know, and I'm sure many of you have been through, hopefully not too many and not too painful, but we've all been through bad relationships where either people consciously try and take advantage of us, try and cheat us, lie, whatever it is, get things from us for their own desire, or let's be honest, sometimes that's us. Getting involved in, it could be a business relationship. It doesn't just have to be, a romantic or a personal, intimate relationship like that. A person could have a relationship with a partner in business and also either channeling light through the business and the partnership or trying to get from each other. So that's the negative aspect, taking from other people. And the fourth one is called Lashon Hara, gossip, evil speech. Now, obviously, I am speaking to you. The light-given purpose for speech is to motivate, to teach, to inspire, to guide, to support people. with your words of encouragement, let's say, words of wisdom, words of inspiration. But as we also all know, there's also ways to use our mouth in a negative way, criticizing, making fun of, things like that, tearing down people. So I encourage you to think about, how have you used the idea of worshiping God, let's call it the perfect idol, the creator, the light force, bloodshed, meaning bloodletting, healing, using our life force, if you will, blood, to help others. Having right relationships, meaning even you drive down the street, did you ever stop to think that you're in a relationship with every car and driver around you? It is a relationship. Somebody's in front of you, somebody's behind you, somebody's at the side. Those are relationships, right? You're to the left of this one, the right of that one, the head of this one, behind that one. Those are relationships. So we want to make use of those relationships as a means to share light. You go to the grocery store, you're in a relationship with everybody in the grocery store. Your relationship with all the staff of the grocery store, the cashier, the people in line with you, etc. Think about those things. It's not just the personal, intimate type or close relationship, family, friends, or whatever. We're in a relationship with every human being on earth. How are you shining light to all those people? And then, of course, how are we using our words? Yesterday, did you say something out of a little frustration, stress, impatience, maybe even insensitivity and unkindness? So what do? We can wait till the 2 days of Libra and use the Kabbalistic technology, which we'll touch on a little bit, to transfer things. But the Kabbalists have explained to us the month of Virgo, which precedes Libra. The idea, and I think we spoke of it recently, the idea of the Virgin, meaning pure, going back to our pure and perfect light beingness. We have the month of Virgo to do actions of cleansing, healing, removing the klipot, removing the spiritual mud, removing the layers and the veils of shells of fear and anger and jealousy, etc. That's the month of Virgo. We want to take advantage of that. And remembering, there is no such thing as any form of darkness that enough light will not transform. The work is bringing to bear in that darkness enough light. So of course the AI programming in our head will say, well, you just made that great effort to share when you didn't feel like it. That should be enough. No, if it didn't take away all the darkness, obviously it wasn't enough. Do you go into your house in the middle of the night when it's completely dark and turn on your telephone light and then wonder, why isn't the whole room illuminated like daylight? No, you understand, you shined a limited amount of light, but it wasn't enough to illuminate the whole room. You want the whole room illuminated, you got to put more light. Same thing with our life. If you're making an effort to grow and evolve, and you really have, you can objectively look back and say, yes, I shared uncomfortably. I broke through some klipot. I forgave, I gave, I helped, I did whatever it was in a greater level than you ever had. First of all, look how and where some of that darkness went away. How some of that anger, hurt, insecurity, fear, jealousy, resentment disappeared. Don't just look and say, well, there's still some. First look at how you did remove some of that by transformation. And then you look back honestly and objectively and consciously, well, if it's not completely gone, I have more light of kindness, appreciation, gratitude, charity, humility, forgiveness, tolerance, compassion to shine out into the world. Let's really pause to be conscious. So, That's the month of Virgo. Nothing cannot be transformed with enough help, enough support of the light. So on those 2 days, the Kabbalah is teaching us in general, like we just spoke about, from Kabbalah 1, something occurs that pushes your button. We've spoken often, and I will continue to remind myself and you at the same time, the button is of my making, and when my button is being pushed, it's the judgment, now we understand judgment a little differently, of my soul, of the cosmos, to give me clarity. What's holding me back from the 100% eternal bliss, fulfillment that I have the power, I have the resources, I have the potential of, that I'm not seeing in my life. And that's why once my button is pushed, we learned from Kabbalah 1, class 1, pause, stop. Before you act, before you say or do, pause. Allow yourself the moment of consciousness. Be aware in the moment what's happening. You're being given clarity and awareness. Where, behind what curtain is your light and your blessing hiding that's not revealed yet? The fear, the anger, define the emotion. That's it. Then draw from the unrevealed light inside you whatever the opposite of that negative emotion is, and shine that out through the person in the situation. As you'll do that, you'll be inspired, maybe things to say or do or what have you. But meanwhile, by shining light, some of that darkness, some of that confusion dissipates immediately. And that's why then you've opened a space to hear the voice of your soul with the next thing that you can do to bring greater light and blessings in your life. Now, there is, and if you've come from that background, you know the main instrument of transformation is called the shofar, the ram's horn. So I don't want to go into the whole thing, why is it a ram's horn, specifically, etc., but I want you to understand the concept. The Zohar says that the ram's horn, the shofar, has the power to break what the Zohar calls the impossible klipot, the impossible shells. Meaning what? So like from my point of view, your point of view, sometimes we'll be working, truly working with dedication and commitment to break some klipot, to overcome some of our long-standing, long-held reactive behavior. Even a simple thing, bad habit. Is anyone really able to just like this get rid of their bad habit, overcome it? No. Some of us, you work at it day in and day out, as the saying goes, one day at a time. So you work one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. But some of us, or some of the people around you, you see where they start to progress, and then they fall back or whatever it is. So from that point of view, it could be called an impossible klipa, meaning the person in of themselves didn't have the strength. The shofar, particularly on these 2 first days of Libra, humanity's birthday, has the power to break those impossible shells. Why? Because it's such an intensity of the light through the vibrations of sound. And it's been, I don't know, it's got to be 20 years now or whatever, in a physical world. And again, being interested in science and medicine, so of course it's a little more on my radar, and my teacher Rav Berg and now Michael Berg, they often keep up with science, because the Rav used to say, science is in, back then, the 20th century, Kabbalah's 50th century science, but they're catching up. So must be around 20 years ago, the medical community realized that they could use ultrasound vibrations to break up kidney stones, gallstones, things like that, without having to do surgery. Because the vibration of sound could break those shells, could break those stones. Some of you may remember, I guess they still do it, in a concert. You know, they're blasting music through these speakers and people sitting right in front of the speakers. I remember when I was a teenager in awe, how could people stand in front of it? I could be like literally as far away from the stage as possible, and still the music was so loud I was covering my ears. But you could also feel, especially the closer you could feel, because the speaker, how's it work? There's a vibration, right? The diaphragm moves, shakes, boom, 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 like this. So it's putting out sound waves, and you could feel it against your body. So now imagine the shofar, an instrument, cosmic instrument, sending vibrations, various frequencies and vibrations of light to our klipot. Boom, shattering it. But there is a condition. I believe it's in Psalms, it says, blessed are the people who know the sound of the shofar. It doesn't say, blessed are the people who hear the sound of the shofar. But most people still, in tradition, they think, no, they go to Rosh Hashanah to hear the shofar. No. You have to know what the energy is and how to direct it. That's what it means to know. How to direct the energy of the shofar at these various klipot that we talked about, idol worship, bloodshed, adultery, gossip, so that it's aimed at. I mean, imagine a laser. A person has a laser and they want to cut through this piece of metal, but they don't aim the laser beam at the metal. They just, whatever, let it go everywhere, woo, like this. It's not going to break or cut through that metal. You have to have consciousness and direct it. Where do you want to cut with a laser? That's where it's directed. Where do you want the sound of the shofar to go to break your klipot? You have to have consciousness to direct it. And so in the Kabbalistic prayer books, we have the meditations that a person can see. They can scan it, awaken the light, and then with their consciousness, as we said, here the first section, the first soundings, idol worship, breaking the klipot, where we believed that something in the physical material world was our source of happiness or fulfillment. With the bloodshed, where we embarrassed people even. Let's leave it like that for you and me. We have to direct the sound of the shofar. And so that would be the most powerful way. Yes, there's the various connections we make. There's the reading from the 5 books of Moses, from the Torah, that draws energy on those 2 days. But the most powerful is the sound of the shofar. And then, to maximize the benefit, the Kabbalists write in many, many different ways, particularly on these very high, intense days, especially the birthday of humanity. 8.2 billion people having a year's worth of life coming at them. You want to be in a group, with a group, like-minded group, community, because in unity, as I may have shared once, one of the teachers said, we think 1 + 1 is 2. So I usually think of, exponential. So 1 and 1, it can affect 3, 5, 10, whatever it is. So one of the teachers once said, you have 1 + 1 is 2, but 1 united with 1 is 11. So the idea of being with community. So whether that means if you're near a physical center, go to one of the physical Kabbalah centers, connect on those 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, change your destiny for a year. If not, if you're out somewhere else, then be online. Because online, as one unified worldwide community, also have that benefit of a greater breakthrough, a greater transformation of your coming year than you would by yourself. Exponential power. And of course, whichever way you do it, in the center, online, with all the Kabbalistic meditations, etc., again, the biggest thing is to be one soul. That I'm not just directing all the prayers, the meditations, the shofar to break my klipot, but I'm in unity, not only with the community I may be with, the group that I'll be with, but with the group called humanity, that one soul, making sure that each of us are channeling that light to every human being on earth, whether they're making the conscious connection with humanity's birthday or not, they're still being put on those scales. And as long as we hold the consciousness of one soul, we want to make sure that every part of our soul, which extended out to the 8 billion bodies out there, has breakthrough, has removal of some of that spiritual mud, breaking those klipot, those shells that are hiding the light from being accessible to me. And if you really think about it, we started as one being. We became fragmented into 8.2 billion bodies. Why? How? Because of those curtains. In other words, you and I, with modern technology, here we are. I'm here in Boca. You are all around the world. Because of this technology called the internet, we are able to break down the barrier of distance to be in the same place at the same time, united in consciousness. So the more we will break down those klipot, the more advantage we will take of this technology, the more we're reuniting on a spiritual level. We can still be over 8 billion bodies, but on a spiritual level, we break those klipot. We remove the space between people. We remove the space between ourselves and our 100% pure light being. And so the biggest picture of all our meditations and the shofar and the consciousness of the birthday of humanity, etc., is to channel light to the heart and soul of every human being on earth. We want to start celebrating the similarities. We want to bring back the oneness. What's similar with people? Not the differences. Because the similarities start, if you will, there's the birthday of humanity. That's one beginning piece of the unity of humanity. We're all created by one creator, another piece of unity. The soul that we carry inside of us is the only thing in common to every person on earth. There's no human being on earth that doesn't have a piece of the creator inside them. And it operates in the system we understand, the Zohar Kabbalah. We use it in our own unique ways, but it's the same system. Once you go past that, what we call the differences, that's external to the soul. The soul is a piece of light from the one creator in all of us. So as we'll celebrate the similarities, not the differences, we start to overcome. We look on the inside of every human being is the pure and perfect light being that the creator created. That's the part that we want to control our life, no? Let the light control your life. It's perfection. Yes, it's how to be guided where the mud is to remove the mud, but in removing the mud, revealing your perfection. So we want to be controlled by the light of the Creator that's inside of us. Don't you want every person on earth to also be controlled by the light of the Creator inside them, and not that external AI, parasitic, artificial opposition, egocentric, self-centered behavior? So when there's a critical mass of us shining a critical mass of light, that the light of the Creator is in control, then love, unity, and peace will rule the world, and heaven on earth will exist. because peace, love, and unity is heaven. God bless. So, one, I just want to appreciate your continued support, and we're going to take this moment, just whatever free will offering. We use your support to continue to spread in here. I'll show you. Some of you may have seen this, right? It's the newest printing edition of the Zohar itself from the 23 volumes, Aramaic and English. So the Aramaic to scan, as we will do here in a moment with the 72 names that we're going to use. But we use your support, your gifts, your charity, your tithing to make sure these books are all over the world, that every human being on earth has an opportunity to have access to them. And so this is why we'll take this time now. Let me just put the link here. We take this time now to bless the offering. So in this case, it's all of us online. So just close your eyes. Let yourself be guided by your heart and your soul what to give, especially now before Rosh Hashanah. The more we can spread the light, the more effort we make to spread the light, the greater the revelation. And especially at this time, it's not just, let's call it for a day, a week, a month. We are literally impacting an entire year all at once. So we know money is a vessel, and this is why we take this moment to put the consciousness, gratitude, appreciation for all our talents and abilities, gratitude that we have this wisdom and understanding, how to be able to handle any and everything coming our way, individually and collectively, in a way that we can transform it from the darkness to light, from chaos to order, from divisiveness to unity. That each of us will be surrounded in a grander, a greater sphere of light. And as each of us expand that sphere of light in unity, we can cover the entire world with the sphere of the infinite light force of God, removing the darkness, the clouds from the eyes and the heart of all people. That everybody begins waking up to the light in their soul, more and more guided by the voice of their soul to commit acts of greater love, kindness, compassion, generosity, humility, tolerance. Taking away the space between people, unity, love, and oneness. And with this gratitude and appreciation, we fill the gifts, the offering that we share with the center to accelerate the spread of Kabbalah and the Zohar. Peace on earth with mercy. And knowing that everything we do comes back to us. And so we know, by supporting the projects of the center, that keeps in mind humanity in its entirety, the greatest blessings come back to us many, many times over. Together we say, Amen. Okay, so time for our meditation. We have these 3 Aramaic letters. Those of you who've been with us, you understand that the Aramaic letters were not created by any human being. They were manifest from the light of the Creator as we came into this physical world. And so they are just portals, conduits of light. The Rav always called them nanoparticles of the light of the Creator. Eyes are the window to the soul. And so by just scanning them, just looking, Lamed, Chaf, Bet, by looking at the shapes, allowing the energy that shines from them into the eyes, begins to awaken the unrevealed, unmanifest part of our soul's light. And in this case, it's finishing what you start. So we came out of the endless world with one mission as one being, to just shine the light of the Creator 24/7 unconditionally. Fortunately, we had to divide or extend out into over 8 billion physical bodies, still on the one soul internet. But we want to finish what we started, bringing peace, love, and unity to the world. And the more we do it consciously, the more it comes with mercy, the more accelerated the process. So just let the shapes be there in your mind's eye. Lamed, Chaf, Bet. And now I ask you, sit comfortably in your chair. Feet flat on the floor, hands in your lap. Just begin taking a few deep breaths, breathing in through the nose. Hold the breath for a moment. Exhale through the mouth. Allowing the light of the Creator, what's known as the breath of life, to come in through the nose by holding it, filling your being from head to toe with light, and then exhaling through the mouth, if you will, to let out, to let go of the blockages, the limitations, the falsehoods that we've accepted. Anything that's not the light of the Creator. Breathing normally. Let's envision together Lamed, Chaf, Bet. One of the 72 names of God, just above our head, shining light, brilliant white light of the Creator. Feel the vibration that's emanating from these 3 particles, conduits of light, as they're drawing from the upper endless world into our world. Lamed, Chaf, Bet, giving us added strength to finish what we started. Finish it with our own volition, with our own proactive effort to share more of our soul's light through the darkness, the challenges, and the blockages, obstacles that may come our way. If you like, think of one particular obstacle you have to direct this light specifically to that situation and through it to the entire world. And so slowly we bring the Lamed, Chaf, Bet through the top of our head, allowing it to illuminate consciousness, quieting the voice of the opponent, the ego, self-centeredness, allowing us to hear the voice of our soul, allowing the true consciousness of our soul to inspire and guide us. Light, removing the darkness. Allowing us to have clarity to distinguish between those 2 voices and focus and follow the voice of the light, our soul. And now let the energy, Lamed Chaf Bet, flow through the rest of your body, head to toe. Particularly when it gets to your heart, activating the unconditional love that's programmed by the Creator in your heart, opening the gates of the heart, expanding our capacity to love others, true love, emanating the light of the Creator into the hearts and souls of other people. Feel this vibration, this light, purifying you, cleansing more and more of those klipot, curtains, veils that separate you in various ways from the pure light of your soul. That more of your soul's light revealed, shining and extending from you out into the world. Healing spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. And together we focus this light out to the heart and souls of all humanity, with the consciousness of finishing what we started, with love, with mercy, with compassion and kindness. That we can reveal heaven on earth by our proactive, voluntary actions of sharing. Lamed Chaf Bet, giving us the strength, guidance, direction, clarity to travel the path of the light. Give us the strength to share uncomfortably to the next level of all the light-like behaviors: love, kindness, humility, appreciation, gratitude, generosity, forgiveness. And activating that in the hearts and souls of all people, supporting them to transform their negative behaviors into proactive behaviors of love, kindness, unity, and compassion. See the entire world living unconditional love, light surrounding the entire planet, each person, their aura shining with pure white light. Happy, joyous, peaceful, in unity with all humanity. Remember what you were seeing, feeling, thinking. Remember the voice of your soul that's guiding you, inspiring you. With this energy and the support of our unity, commit ourselves, each one of us committing to making greater effort each day to shine light to the heart and soul of all people, seeing that inside everybody is a piece of God. And that's the part we're focused on. We direct our light there to awaken that piece as it extends from us, awakening it on a higher level for us, our lives, and awakening it for them to overcome the darkness, the negativity that we all fall into. The power in unity and in the light to overcome that opponent, that challenger in our head that tempts us towards divisiveness. And we overcome that temptation by sending the light of love, unconditional love and unity. And we'll take one more deep breath, anchoring this into our heart and our soul and mind. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Thank you for joining us today. Please make sure that you share this with others. Please forward it to others. Put it on your social media. Just send it out with your love and your light to let others have access to this. There are people right now, probably millions, that are exactly balanced between the light and the darkness. They want to be with the light. They don't know how. And when you put this out there, or any of the classes that you listen to on Kabbalah.com, it's going to go to the right people. Like attracts like. And you could be the cause of hundreds of thousands of people shifting onto the side of the light by that simple action of sharing. Those of you who this is new for, go on Kabbalah.com, look up Decoding Rosh Hashanah. There are many classes from many teachers explaining more details, or you can read the book Days of Power by Rav Berg, or Michael Berg just came out with Consciousness, Days of Elevation. God bless, have a great day, a great evening, and a great week. Shana Tova, a good new year to all of us.
Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.